that this bill will have a major impact in both areas. Now, this is, where's the Larry? I thought we had a Larry Summers thing. Oh, are those his quotes? No. Yes. In our caucus, we showed a video that got a lot of chuckles. It was Mitch McConnell saying, the expert on inflation is Larry Summers. The expert on inflation is Larry Summers. And then we showed what Larry Summers said about the Inflation Reduction Act, that it will lower inflation. And that's what all the experts are saying. Just about every expert who looks at it says it's going to reduce inflation. Even Maya McGuinness and the committee for... Should we wait for Tester? And Moran is supposed to come too.
Let's start, Chuck.
You want to start?
Yes.
What do you say?
We have a lot of speakers.
Okay. You know, every so often, folks, America lives up to its ideals. And those are days that we savor. Well, today, fine.
So is your state or city sending out 4 stimulus checks? Well, I know many of you are wondering whether you can claim extra stimulus money. And here's what you have to know.
Changing, where is this going?
Well, you have to go over and ask that in the Senate. But we do believe that what we call the For the People Act, and now called the Freedom to Vote Act, is a bill that very much had the input of Senator Manchin.
If you're on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, RRB, or VA beneficiaries, continue watching this video to get the latest scoop on the most important stimulus check and Social Security news. Here it is, folks. Stimulus checks have definitely been a financial lifeline for many Americans during the crisis. So, it is really great to know that the relief payments are now back in multiple states across the country. Many of you are also wondering if you qualify for a new stimulus check. These are stimulus payments from state governments that have decided to take action for residents. Now, certain states like California have sent out monthly stimulus checks, and also in the Sunshine State of Florida, it has also been confirmed that they'll be sending out a payment of up to $1,100 to first responders and educators. That's including teachers and principals. If you live in Florida, you could receive an additional $2,000 stimulus check or $1,000 stimulus check, depending on your job. If you live in Georgia, you could also get $1,000 stimulus checks. If you live in Maine, you can receive up to $825, up to $285 if you are a Maine resident. And also in Maryland, Marylanders can expect to receive a check of $300. If you live in New Mexico, you can get up to $750 of a stimulus check. This is as long as you didn't qualify for federal crisis stimulus payments, all done in the past. But let's not forget this, 36 million Americans are still facing poverty, as Congress has not reinstated the expanded monthly child tax credit payments. For the last 6 months, 36 million families, folks, have been receiving these monthly checks from the IRS.
All right, you happy? All right. She ends up paying the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund as he does. Okay, so he's paying 6.2%. She's going to pay a much smaller percentage.
If President Biden's bill is passed, families will receive a child tax credit payment this January. But the bad news is that the Build Back Better bill is still limbo. It's hanging in the balance. It's so disappointing to see that lawmakers are not trying their best to get these relief payments reinstated. Although the child tax credit payments have temporarily stopped, grocery prices still haven't. The reality is that payments have really helped millions of families stay afloat.
Madam President,
Senator from New York.
I rise to discuss helping our service members exposed to toxic burn pits. For days now, service members and their families have been camping outside this very building in desperation. They're pleading with us, they are begging with us to pass this bill. They have been out there all weekend in 90-degree heat, sheltering themselves from thunderstorms as well as oppressive humidity. I've been down there to visit them 3 times now, and I can tell you they are exhausted. They miss their families. They want to go home, but they will not. They will not go home until the job is done. Because the suffering they are enduring now pales in comparison to the suffering they, their fellow veterans, or their fellow family members experience every day because of the injuries sustained because of the exposure to the toxins released at these burn pits. Last week, before it became clear that the PACT Act would fail, these families came to D.C. ready to celebrate. The mother-in-law of Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson, who died because of burn pits, came with Heath's daughter, Brielle, who was excited to finally celebrate her father's legacy finally coming to fruition. Instead, we had to explain to a crying 9-year-old girl why this would not be happening, why the Senate had failed them. So I don't want anyone to just listen to me rattle off a bunch of statistics or facts about burn pits. I want you to listen to these people, the families, people who are literally giving every ounce of their being in service to this country. People with families, people with kids, people who are willing to upend their lives at the very moment's notice to fight for the values that make us who we are. And instead, when their lungs were filled with toxins, the government turned its back on them when they needed us the most. We made a promise to them to care for them when they came home, and that promise has been broken. Failure to pass this bill again is not just some small disappointment, something that can be easily brushed off or disregarded. Failure to pass this bill, quite literally, for many, is a death sentence. Because every single day, every hour, every minute they don't get the health care that they need to save their lives is just another minute lost to the diseases that are devouring them. It's another minute that they won't have to be with their loved ones, to hug their children, another minute they don't get to be with their loved ones, to kiss them goodbye, another minute that they cannot do the things they love to do. So we don't have time to wait another week, another month. We have to do this now. This is what's at stake in this bill. It's the lives of the men and women who went to combat for this country over the last many decades, and unfortunately have been so riddled with disease because of that exposure that they need our help. They need the VA to cover their health care. That's what
Motion is agreed to.
Madam President,
The Majority
this is
Leader.
a wonderful moment, especially for all the people who have made this happen, who are observing it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I ask unanimous consent that the Senate be in a period of morning business for debate only, and with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.
Is there objection? Without objection.
Madam President, now I'm about to lock in an agreement that will allow the Senate to pass the resolution of ratification for the Finnish and Swedish applications to join NATO. Our NATO alliance is the bedrock